Rev up your engines. Okay, today we have a Junkyard Camry through no fault of its own. The parts came from the junkyard because people ran into it, a deer jumped on one side of it, and the guy decided, hey, I'm gonna go junkyard and Harbor Freight $20 spray gun. He didn't do that bad of a job. He had to replace the headlight because the deer hit here. You could buff it out more if you wanted, but it doesn't look that bad. He even painted the bumper, even though I didn't use plasticized paint, so we'll see how that lasts. But you can see, did a pretty good job. He got the aftermarket fender here, and this door came from a junkyard because that side got smashed, but he got hit on the other side, and this is a junkyard door. Luckily, he has a pretty common gray color, and you can see, it looks really good. He didn't have to paint this, it came from a junkyard. And they already had the same color. These shiny hubcaps, they're from Walmart. They don't look bad. $35 for 4, you can't argue that, right? Now, this shows one big advantage buying a car like a Toyota Camry. They have sold millions and millions and millions of them, so there is an insane aftermarket, but there's also an insane junkyard market, because when a car gets a certain amount of wreck, it's going to the junkyard, right? My son wrecked the Camry I got him. He T-boned it on a telephone pole. So you can't say much was left of the body, but the engine and tranny still ran perfectly fine. So somebody got a nice engine and transmission out of the deal. It might be you. Car might get hit on the right side, maybe yours is hitting the left side. Get a door from one. They're so common. Color like this, gray, that's a relatively common color. Realize Toyota, they're not as crazy as the Americans. They don't make cars of 50 different colors. They only have a certain amount of colors, which is an advantage if you get in a wreck and you want to replace parts and don't want to paint the stupid things. But I'll say, he didn't do that bad a job painting this, considering he used the cheapy Harbor Freight spray gun, but he said he used his neighbor's really good compressor. But still, I mean, hey, believe it or not, he painted it under an overhang. It wasn't even in an enclosed garage. So, I mean, of course, there's going to be a few imperfections of dust and stuff coming in. And of course, he broke the law because he didn't have a recycling machine to take all the fumes in. But it's not a business. It was his own car. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's his own business, right? Well, you know, it doesn't look all that bad. It's got 240,000 miles on it. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And this is why I tell you, if you want long lasting, get cloth seats. Look at that, hardly worn at all with all that mileage. Now, he did have the top done over, and they did a good job on the lining there. Things will wear out over time. Under the hood is a 4-cylinder engine. Now, a lot of people are gonna say, it's a Camry, it's a 2.4 liter. They all burn oil. Well, they don't all burn oil. This is an older one. This is an 04. Now, if this was an 07 with this 2.4 liter engine, I guarantee it's going to be burning oil, especially with 200-something thousand miles on the thing, right? This one doesn't because it's an old one. What do they say? They don't make them like they used to? Well, that's the truth for these engines. Original transmission now, he changed the starter and he and his wife changed the alternator. But other than that, it's got a radiator. Well, you get hit by a deer, you can see that's all new. Made in Taiwan. Who cares? They're just headlights, right? These things can basically last forever if you take care of them. So we'll take it for a little road test. See what's left of this old girl here. We'll flip it to odometer and you can see. Got 240,775 miles on it. Original engine, original transmission. So here we go. It idles smooth as can be. People were amazed when they first got these with these larger 4-cylinder engines, how powerful they actually are. You can't even feel the shifts, really. That's how smooth it still is. And as old as it is. Now, these always were known as being maybe a tad sloppy cornering. The noise was the handkerchiefs there, the Kleenexes. But it still handles pretty much the same as it did when it was new. Yeah, they're a little bit on the sloppy side if you want tight racing, but they're a smooth ride. That's one of the reasons Toyota came out with a TRD Camry, because the TRD Camrys have a much stiffer suspension. And anybody who's a serious driver would like it. My wife got one, she hated it. She liked the regular smooth ride of a normal Camry. So, you know, you can't have your cake, you need it too. You want suspension system, get a TRD Camry. So here we go to our little drag strip on Tobacco Road. There's Tobacco Road. And there's nobody behind us, so we can take our time. And of course, this is a regular geared transmission, not a CVT. Not going to be wallowing around like an old outboard motor, like a CVT. So here we go. Look at that, it still burns rubber. Hey. Smooth shifts. Now let's say you want to pass somebody. Okay, we're going like 45 floored. You can see it gets going to 60 relatively quickly. And even though it's got all these miles and it's an old car, hey, it's still got a nice quiet ride. I don't hear wheel bearings roaring. I don't hear anything except the tires going down the road. Truthfully, if you wanted a car that lasts forever, you couldn't beat a 2004 Toyota Camry. You could fix everything when it does need fixing, if it ever needs fixing, you know. I've seen these things with 1 million miles on them, and it still runs quite well. I mean, listen, it's still quiet as can be. And it doesn't have any of those annoying features like auto shutdown, GDI turbo. It's a normally aspirated 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine with an automatic transmission that can run forever. And interestingly enough, he's never changed the transmission fluid, and it still shifts like a dream. I told him, don't change it now, don't tempt fate, right? 240,000 miles, it still works this good. I've seen these things with 500,000 miles on them, and the tranny fluid was never touched, and they're still working. I don't advise doing that, but that'll just show you how tough these things can be. Everything still works. It's getting a little humid here, so we'll turn the AC on. And it's blowing plenty cold. Matter of fact, it's blowing too cold, so I'm gonna turn it off. And I do have to say, they obviously were stronger built in the past, because this thing got hit by a deer. Hey, they fixed it themselves. And it still runs perfectly fine with all the junkyard parts they put on. Many modern cars with all that excess plastic, guess what? This car would have been totaled by a deer if it was a more modern car. Too much plastic, too much thin metal. I had a guy coming to visit me in Rhode Island. He was going through New Jersey, he hit a deer, and that was the end of his brand new car. Now, if I was in a hurry, I wouldn't think twice about filling this up with gas and taking a trip to California. Everything on it works. The cruise control works. The windows work. Everything on it works. It's a Toyota. The handbrake works. It's a real handbrake and not one of those electronic nonsenses. Even the original CD, tape deck, AM, FM radio still works. If you still got CDs and tapes left to stick in to listen to. My wife made me throw all ours away. It's Spotify from now on. So there you have it. Okay, it's an old car. It's been hit by deer. It's been hit by human beings. Yet it still goes down the road fine. You know, if you could find a car like this, I'd say buy it. I don't care if it got hit by a deer. Everything was fixed okay. It doesn't make any weird noises. It shifts fine. Now, I do have to warn you, if you're looking at a 2007, 8, or 9 with the 2.4 liter engine, unless it's been fixed by Toyota, it's probably an oil burner. So in that case, you take the spark plugs out, see if they got oil burned on them, and then don't buy it because it's an oil burner. But these old ones didn't have the oil burning problem. It was the later ones that had oil burning problems with them. Push to shove, you can put a later model engine in them. You can take out the 2.4s and put in a 2.5 modern one. It will fit with a little modification. So it's not the end of the world. But who wants to deal with that if you're buying a used car? You want one with a good engine. And this one, 240, original engine, original tranny, still runs like a top. Now you know why people bought these things and gave up with American cars that fell apart when they made it to 100,000 or less. These things aren't even broken in at 100,000 miles. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Francesco Savanti says, I got a 2002 Lexus ES300. Should I change the water pump? I'm the original owner of a 2002 Lexus ES300, 108,000 miles. I changed the timing belt, but I didn't change the water pump. How long can I expect it to last? Should I wait till it leaks and change the pump? What should I do? Car runs perfectly fine. Okay, that is a non-interference engine, an ES300. So if the timing belt ever breaks, it isn't going to damage anything. You had the timing belt changed. You said it's not leaking or anything in the water pump. I mean, I would have just changed the water pump when I changed that timing belt if I were you, because it's a 2002. And even though it's got 100,000 miles, that's all. It's low mileage. It's still a 22-year-old vehicle, right? But if it's not leaking, just watch it, because either it will leak and you'll see it dripping down the front of the engine, then you know it's leaking. Or it'll start rattling because the bearing will go. Then you know, yeah, you're going to have to take it apart and change the water pump. I would have done it when I did the timing belt anyways, because you might as well. And if you do change the water pump, believe you me, buy an original equipment. Don't buy one of these cheap Chinese-made pieces of crap. The bearings are no good. It'll wear out sometimes in 15, 20,000 miles, and you have to do the job all over. Get an OEM, original water pump, when you do change it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.